Right. A year today, on the 5th of June 2020, I was at work and then I had some pins and needles to my left side. I had some weakness. I didn't feel very well, and you know, I was on a half day. I remember having to sit down in the ward round thinking, I don't feel well. I asked one of the nurses to check my blood sugar. My blood sugar was okay, but I thought let me have a biscuit, something, see what that makes me feel better. Didn't feel better. By the end of the ward round, I was limping, and I think I had a bit of a mild headache, and I was thinking, well, you know, there's a kind of migraine you can get that can give you headaches, and I've had migraines in the past before, so I thought, well, you know, it's probably just a migraine. For some reason, I remember asking one of the nurses to check my blood pressure, and it was a little high. But again, you know, I decided to go home, and I think I went to sleep. I had a bit of a nap in the day, but I mean, I woke up, my head was really pounding. It just didn't feel well. A friend of mine had introduced me to had been trying to get me on a company that was going to teach me how to make some money online, man like Rex. So I was listening to his presentation. I thought, no, it seemed like a good idea. I joined the company, went to sleep, woke up again. This is now about 10:30. Just felt worse and worse, and again I was limping heavily, and by this time I had really bad pins and needles on my left side, approaching my face, but all on my arm and my abdomen and my legs. It's the kind of, do you know when you hit your funny bone? So it's like the pins and needles, but it also feels like squeezing. It was that all over my left side. So I was like, well, you know, I checked my blood pressure. It was very high. I won't tell you how high it was because some of you get scared. I was like, well, I've done everything I can not to go to the hospital. But I should probably go in now. This was during COVID, so thank God for family. My mum was able to come to our house and stay with the kids. My wife took me to the hospital, and she wasn't able to come into A&E with me. I stumbled into A&E and got seen by one of the doctors, by which time my symptoms had, you know, progressed, more weakness on my left side. I had a CT scan, which was normal, but I still had symptoms, so they transferred me to the stroke center. So I got seen by the doctor probably about, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning. Got transferred to the stroke center probably between 2 and 3. Got seen by one of the stroke doctors, and she was like, you probably had a stroke. Well, it might be a migraine still. So let's get an MRI scan. I got seen by the stroke consultant. So that was Thursday. This is now Friday morning. Got seen by the stroke consultant, and she's like, yeah, you probably had a stroke. let's do an MRI. It didn't really click. I had the MRI and I was waiting for the result MRI of my head, and I remember just feeling very tired, very tired. And around 5 o'clock, I woke up after a nap and I'm like, hold on, my blood pressure is high. I've got weakness on one side and some pins and needles, and I'm really tired. I probably had a stroke. That's when I came to the realization for it myself. The stroke reg came after hours and were like, yeah, you've had a small, what they call lacuna infarct. So a lacuna infarct on a scan looks like a dot, just a small abnormality. So you had a small lacuna infarct on the right side of your brain. That's what gives you left-sided symptoms. But thank God, I was in a position where I wasn't, significantly affected. I was able to go home. My blood pressure was much better, and that was the 5th. So the stroke happened on the 5th. I got discharged on the 6th of June. So a year later, so I've gone from, and I was obviously diagnosed with high blood pressure. I've gone from not being in a position where I considered myself unhealthy, not having any sort of health issues at all, to having had a stroke and being diagnosed with high blood pressure. So a lot's happened. And I think one of the things I've learned on this journey is mindset and disposition. What I'm so grateful for is, I don't know that I would have thought about my health in the same way that I do now. I've made some changes. Some of the changes I've made, for instance, I now drink a lot of water. I wasn't doing that before. Prior to the stroke, was like, if I've not eaten meat with every single meal, then I've not eaten. It doesn't matter how much salad or meatlessness I have not eaten. But now I'm being intentional about having meat-free days, meat-free meals. I have stopped arguing with my wife when she presents me a meatless meal or a meal with fish, because I didn't consider fish meat. I have broken the curse of meat over my life. So even if there's no meat, or there's food, I can enjoy the food. It was a big issue before. I've been intentional about exercising. The consequence of this is that I've lost weight, but the weight loss wasn't the aim. I am now having conversations with people and showing them my journey, and hopefully making a difference. I've had some really good feedback. Some uncles, aunties, brothers, sisters have done things like gone and seen their GP, bought a blood pressure machine, started drinking water. Even at work, some of the doctors that I work with have followed the example of started drinking water before the ward round. So I'm so grateful. My mindset is different now. I thank God for my life, because it could have been a different story. People die from strokes, so the fact that I didn't have one that gave me significant deficits is a big deal. The fact that I'm able to still work, still provide for my family, still function is a big deal. I can talk to you, I can drive. I think I have been intentional about gratitude, and I thank God for where my life is taking me. That company that I joined, Man Like Rex, is helping me. It's helping me and my family. It's making a significant difference and putting me in a position to be able to dream again, because of what I've been able to do with the making money online. It's a whole new world. So I wanted to commemorate the year. I'm grateful to God for sparing my life. I'm grateful to God for using my story. I'm grateful to God for giving me the family and friends that I've had, that have helped me on this journey, and for the changes that He's made in my life and my mindset. The Bible says that we should be grateful in every situation. So not necessarily thanking God for every situation, but I thank God. I don't know that I'd be thinking these thoughts, doing these things, if I hadn't had a stroke. So a year later for me, the 5th of June 2021 for you. What are you grateful for?